Look who's back. We're going to talk about the college football playoff rankings and everything here on the Sooner or Later Sports Show, a Hog Media production presented by Sleeper. That's Coop. I'm Jay. Thanks for pulling up here on the YouTube channel and listening wherever podcasts are downloaded and listened to while you're here. Please wipe your feet and like, subscribe, rate, review. Give us 5 stars. You don't think we deserve it? Go ahead and give us 5 anyway and gift it. So on today's episode, we did a pre-recording. We got a lot of fun stuff to talk about. We're going to dive into some good stuff like Coop's thoughts after he gave this game about 3 to 50 rewatches. We're going to talk about the college football initial rankings, which I think is a lot more interesting than most people want to admit. And we're going to give some Q3 awards. Last, 3 games. Give some awards out to players and how we felt about their performance. So shout out to our partners over there at Sleeper. If you haven't used them for daily fantasy ball, I promise you're missing out. Use our promo code UNFAIR. They're going to give you $20 just for signing up. Plus, they're going to hook you up, match your first deposit at 100% up to $100. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Coop! Welcome back, man. Got to get people an update. You know that, right?
Yeah. First of all, I just want to say thank you to everybody. I got the notification on my phone when you started up on Sunday night, and so I clicked on it, and my family was sitting there and watching, and so when you gave the shout and I saw the comments, it meant a ton to my family, and this is my grandfather. Obviously every single passing in the family is tough. But it's who I'm named after, who I named my son after. And so a great man. Tough, stubborn West Texan. But it's Wednesday, 9 a.m. and November 5th. He's still kicking. He's comfortably, under with meds, and I think it'll probably happen later today, tonight. He'll pass, but been great because family's been able to come in. Everybody who's going to be traveling to see him's here and available. Had a lot of good stuff too because we had 2 of his kids, one of my aunts, one of my uncles, were on a cruise. And so they got the message while they were on a cruise, and they were actually on the cruise delayed because of the hurricane that hit Jamaica. And so they were kind of at sea for 4 days straight, without being able to dock anywhere. And so he held on long enough to get there. But man, just shout out, thank you fans, thank you for all the prayers, everybody on X and everybody on the pod. Appreciate you guys, and it's you guys tune in to see us, and if you ever feel like, man, they don't really care about me and they don't really care about what my thoughts are, we do because this is a family.
Exactly. Yeah. No, it's losing family members tough, and I know the pain. So we're gonna continue the prayers for you, my guy, you and your family. Pray for your comfort, and understanding that the unfortunate part of living is that eventually you will meet your end, but as long as you lived and enjoyed in between, it makes it all the better, and you touch someone. So obviously, your grandfather did with you, with family members and everything. So continued prayer, and like I said, praying for you all and your comfort. We got to talk some ball, though, man. I know it's one of your favorite things to do. This is a great way to get your mind off of everything, is talking a little ball. So, Coop, I dove into my thoughts on the game. There was so many great positives in how that game went. There's a bunch of negatives. There's your good, your bad, your ugly. There was excellent. It was such a mixture of feelings you could get out of that game.
Yeah.
Truth be told. But I think for me, the one thing that really jumped out is the fact that they freaking closed. That to me is probably the largest step that was taken in this Brent Venables era, similar to the Bama game last year. You start to feel it. Now I need them to maintain this high of closing. And, you win 2 SEC road games against teams that in stadiums that are pretty tough to win in, South Carolina as well as, Knoxville. Then you let Ole Miss come to your crib and take it. But now you got Tuscaloosa on the ballot, and it's really tough to win there too. So how'd you feel about the game? What jumped out to you after the additional rewatches?
Yeah, I will say this. Sooner football was like the quote in Godfather 3. I was trying to be super, super present and just, attentive of what was going on Saturday night. We went out to eat, and they had it playing in and up on one of the bigger screens. And I was like, you know what? No, I'm gonna be here, be present with my family. And I got a compliment about not paying attention to the game while we were eating, and so they were like, no, look at that. It looks like we're about to go down 14-0 though. And so I turn and look. Right about that time, Heineke comes off the edge, blows up Aguilar, RMT, just takes it down the sideline, and the restaurant starts going kind of crazy. And I was like, God, every time I get out, they pull me back in. So that's the one play I saw live. And I continued to kind of not pay attention. Got home, got the kids in bed, and got everybody to sleep. Got to watch the game a couple times. So I will say this, they closed. Like, you got to give props there. We knew Josh Heupel and that offense was going to come out and have some plans going on. We also said that there was going to be opportunities because it wasn't scripted, but he made his mind up a lot where the ball was going to go before the snap. And you saw that. You saw Peyton Bowen, benefit from it. You saw Heineke benefit from it. RMT. You saw Robert Spears Jennings benefit from it. There was a lot of times, and you went to the zone coverage. Josh Heupel knew how to coach those receivers up. I mean, listen, those 3 receivers, all are in the top 10 in SEC in receiving yardage. So if you're up, right, almost 400 yards passing, like, everybody has given up hundreds of yards passing to Tennessee, and they will continue to give that up. But you put them in a spot to where they're uncomfortable. You held them under a lot of this, there was a lot of movement. You created the turnovers. Everybody was ticked off. We weren't giving up yards, but we weren't giving turnovers, and everybody was like, we got to get a damn turnover. It's kind of hard to not give up yards and get turnovers. Like, it's really not super easy to do that. So there was a little bit of the bend but don't break. And I will say, you can't commentary on this game without giving it up to Tate Sandell. Like, it's just not possible.
The titanium leg, dog.
The amount of records that dude was setting, tying the longest field goal in Neyland twice, getting a 51-yarder, getting another 40. I mean, he's got that miss against Michigan, and that's it. And at that point, we're like, man, special teams, like, we thought he was good. And Mr. Herbstreit, I mean, call the game, do your job, shut your mouth. Like, I don't need you to commentary on anybody else's. We're not hearing it. You talk about the Gatorade bottles, so, like, just leave it alone. Apparently, dude ripped his shorts or ripped his pants in warm-ups, and now it's a thing. Was in the SEC shorts. I've seen a couple of other things, come out about it.
Pun intended.
Yeah, SEC shorts. There we go. So you got that, man. That clip right there. Excited to see Okoye, continue to get more and more. You did this without 2 of your best leaders, which they mentioned on the commentary several times. It's just a gritty, gutsy performance. Like, if you're going to get turnovers, like against Tennessee last year, we saw we'd create a turnover and do nothing with it. Well, we upgraded. We created a turnover and got field goals out of it. So
progress. It's baby steps, Coop. Sometimes you got to give baby steps to get to where you want to go.
100%. And so, and then second half, I think John Mateer. Now, again, let's build on it. I wish we got Bama this week. I'm a little happy that we get the bye week for some healing.
Yes.
Obviously, selfishly, and I'm really glad that I don't have to mess with games, this weekend. But yeah, I mean, you now have, you can pretty much load up. Every single game needs 100% of your focus, but you've got 2 weeks to prep for Bama. They get LSU post Brian Kelly firing. It's going to be a great week of healing. But you saw John Mateer really turn back into that dude that we saw against Michigan and against Auburn, to where he's being helped with a run game. So lots of good. I will say this is the person that X-Rob reminds you of is Samaje Perine. So how fitting is it that he gets to break off a big long run and instead of scoring a touchdown, goes down at the 1. Samaje was a little bit more, graceful in his. X-Rob looked like he knew what he had to do, but his body wouldn't let him. And so, Jay, I just got to say, you close out. You do it on the road. You make big plays. There's still lots that you can coach up. This team still has not played an A game on both sides of the ball. They at the same time. I don't know if the offense has really played an A game yet. I'm still saying, even with this one, probably a B-. But you continue to see great things.
Yeah. No, I agree. We haven't seen this offense give you the tier 1, top tier game that you've been hoping for. I think one thing that was, you saw the gutsiness of them, right? I'm going to keep using that word because I think that's what it was. They just grinded this out. They knew they weren't perfect. They knew they had issues, and they were finding ways to get it done. This play right here, though, this Robert Spears-Jennings interception, I don't think people understand. I think this is an underrated play in the game. I say that because of the way he returned the ball. He made sure he got Tate Sandell right there in the field goal range just for him to come out here, at minimum, get us this field goal, and boom, there's another field goal that keeps Oklahoma going, right? That was, to me, important that we didn't really take in account, to me.
Jay, you could have won this this is one of those weird games where you could have probably won by 14 more points, and you could have lost. And so to look at that, that's great for your team because you can go hey, man, a couple things don't go your way, and you lose this game. But I would say that if nothing, if the RMT touchdown doesn't happen and they go in and score right there, which is if, the play was out there, we made the play, and so it didn't happen. And then at that point, we commanded the game from that point on. But you could have lost that game. But it's more likely that you could have won that game by 20 points. And so, that's a pretty dadgum cool thing.
Yeah, it is. So you go on the road, you get the W, Coop's happy, and we see a smile on his face. So I think this, as we both mentioned, we talked about this, we both talked about it on enough times that this is one of those wins where you feel like you finally put yourself in a position to where you can feel comfortable, right? That's the toughest part about week over week is making sure that you feel good about the direction your team is going. And as you mentioned, which I want to talk about here on the other side, John Mateer felt like Michigan John Mateer. Yeah. I started to feel and see the confidence in the second half. So let's jump into that portion of it. First, shout out to our partners over there at Sleeper. If you're not checking them out for Daily Fantasy Ball, I told y'all missing out, man. And they're hooking y'all up. Use our code UNFAIR. They're going to match your first deposit at 100% up to $100. Plus, they're just going to give you $20 just for signing up. Again, that helps the show. That helps support us. Support us by supporting our sponsors, with them being our presenting sponsor. We're going to make a couple of picks real quick. Tonight, you've got Luka Doncic playing. We're going to take him as the free play because it's guaranteed that he's going to get at least half a point, rebound, assist combined. He better get at least one of all three. I'd be mad. But they got the NBA action in there. You can pick multiple teams. Wembayama in that game, he's definitely going to get a double-double. There's literally no way that Wemby doesn't get one against the Lakers, because I still don't think the Lakers have a good big man setup. I don't know if Steven Adams gets you 8.5 rebounds, and assists combined, but you can pick through that. And then, of course, you can pick the actual games themselves. Best part is when you click on the player, shows you all the details on it. So all you do is pick 2 or more players, pick more or less on their stats, and boom, you get a chance to win 1,000 times your money. Make those game days and paydays. Use a promo code UNFAIR. They're going to give you $20 just for checking them out. Plus, they're going to match your deposit at 100% up to $100. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Thank y'all for pulling up. Hit the like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, rate, review. Give us 5 stars. All right, Coop. John Mateer, man, second half felt like John Mateer of the Michigan game. It felt like he was in command. The pass to Isaiah Satania may just say, ooh. The play to the pass to Jermichael Carter had me going, which he looked pretty good on the blocking as well as
he did.
Pulling defenders. So he's going to probably be one of your primary guys next season, him and Satania most likely. And then you're going to bring in the young pups of Zion Kearney along with, Elijah Thomas. We'll probably see a lot more snaps. We'll see the snaps going next season. So we're at the point where now it's time to start prepping for, we're going to start prepping for, what's that, next season, I guess you could say. How did you feel about Mateer in the end of that game, dog?
I mean, he continues to be John Mateer. And you and I have said this from the beginning. You're going to get the ebbs and flows. He's going to make a play that makes you go, God bless, look at that, And then he's going to say, hey, hold my beer. I got something stupid for you too. It's how many times do you watch? I will say this. In watching the NFL, college football, running the ball, when you put a running play together and you run the ball and it's within field goal range into the game, that does not guarantee you from avoiding a turnover. So the interception, it was a fastball. It should have been caught. It shouldn't have been pulled. It shouldn't have been thrown. But I won't go super crazy on him because I watched Derrick Henry do it twice at the beginning of the season this year in the NFL. Pretty sure he's okay at what he does. I've seen all kinds of situations. Now, it was an RPO, probably shouldn't have been called. But he also had a really, really great pass that he threw to Deion Burks that Burks just dropped. He just continued. He quit the jumping thing. Like, I don't know what the anti-jump pass, like every 2 to 3 passes, was earlier in the game. And I know what it was. It's John just being way too rushed, trying to do too many things. But the whole thing about it, Jay, is you go on the road to Neyland Stadium in a blackout at night, and Tennessee's record on the at home during night games, especially in environments like that. And I heard your testament that it was semi unbeatable, just the environment. But you go do that against an offense. Your offense goes out. You run for nearly 200 yards. You got guys that are just balling. John's stepping up, running like John Mateer did against Michigan, just without all the extremely ridiculous hits. But it preps you for what you got to go when you got to go to Bryant-Denny here in 10 days, because you're going to have to go do it again, and then you get to chill at the crib for the last 2 games. But I think that John Mateer showed that, okay, listen, I can do this. I've now gone on the road to South Carolina, crazy, Bama almost loses there. Now I've gone here, same situation. Now it puts the Texas game as a further outlier, and it gives him a bigger, a sample of this is what I can do. I think that he's getting a little bit more healthy. He still has ways to go, and he still has a lot to improve on. But
I agree.
John Mateer ending the game, again, you don't call that, if you don't, just because you can doesn't mean you should, is what I tell my kids all the time. And just because you can pull the ball because you think you got something, but also throwing the slant pass, I think it was to Jermichael Carter. He had a size advantage. Yeah, had a size advantage, but dude hasn't had a lot of snaps and a lot of balls come his way this season. So in that situation, have a little bit more situational awareness. Pull the ball. Now, John could have taken off running off the edge and fumbled the ball and given up a scoop and score, so that could have happened.
Very much. That is kind of that's the caveat, I guess you could say, in that circumstance, is he could have really just, made it even worse. But we all agree. Everybody agrees. And so there's no argument there. That's a situation where you hand the ball off and you just go forward.
Yeah.
You don't even give the option. And to me, I put that on Ben more than John, because John has been coached that if you see a particular look, you pull and you launch it, that slant. That is just how it works. I get that you're saying about, but you will have situational awareness. Nah, I've watched some of y'all play video games before. I've seen where y'all think that you're supposed to do something because you see a certain thing and then it's wrong.
That's
and
true.
You throw and you mess up. It happens to all of us. You see a certain piece, you see a safety start creeping up, you're like, all right, I'm gonna go right over the top of them every time. You just know that's you. It's something that's ingrained in the way you do things, and so because of that, right? You have that. I've seen some of y'all make Kool-Aid before. As soon as you pull the sugar out, you don't take a scooper. You pour it in there and you use your eyeballs. Sometimes it comes out a little thicker than you want it. But I digress. I think that if anything, Brent Venables mentioned this on his coaching show, that John Mateer was dealing with a little knee deal. And when he said that, I was like, okay, what does that mean? Well, rumor has it he sprained his knee against Auburn, and he's been dealing with it ever since. Or it was Michigan. It was either Michigan or Auburn.
It was Michigan.
It was Michigan. There you go. Michigan was the game. That was a rumor. And I heard that he aggravated it against Auburn. And so because he was dealing with two big games where he was running at the end to close it, spraining your knee, pretty tough. Well, he's not on the injury report because it's not something you want to report, technically, right? And it wasn't something that was serious enough where he had to go through a bunch of treatment. It was just you need to rest to let it heal, so you rest when you can and then you play. But you could see that it altered his game. This game was one of those where he fixed a lot of that. So I'm not here to complain.
The knee... listen, if you're watching this, you don't need to be a D1 athlete. Like, I've torn my MCL, I've torn my meniscus, I've had 3 knee surgeries between the two of them. You can wake up on certain days and I'm not talking in 43 years old here. I'm talking about like even rewinding back to 23, 24, 25. You wake up certain days and it just doesn't feel right. You wake up certain days and it feels terrific. But dude is consistently on the move. And with the wrist thing, I can tell you this, I think it was mentioned, I was at the, like 3 days after the John Mateer broke his, situation, I broke a bone in mine too. I'm still dealing with it. Like, I'm still having days to where it's flaring up and it's tough. It's, bothersome. So, I mean, I got to think that his wrist is not going to be 100% this season. But his knee, again, makes it a little bit harder when you got a wrist and a knee that you got to think about, and you're trying to decide, like, do I favor my knee? Do I favor my wrist? Do I just get the first down? There's a lot of thinking. And football, when you start overthinking, what happens?
Yeah, you start thinking about it. Your brain isn't focused on everything else that it should be. You're thinking about that throw and how if you plant, you may wince and it could be painful. So there's a lot of components behind it, but the good thing is we got back John Mateer. Now, Coop, we've got to talk about college football playoffs because, of course, those rankings dropped last night. I put out a little video about it, and I felt like the Sooners got a pretty big win out of that one, moving in at number 12. Let's take a gander at what those look like. We do that. Shout out to our partners at Sleeper. If you're not using them for daily fantasy football or daily fantasy sports in general, you are missing out. They are hooking everybody up. they're going to give you $20 just for signing up. No deposit required. Use our promo code unfair. But if you decide to deposit, they're going to give you $100 if you deposit $100. And I jump in there and I play quite often. You just pick 2 or more players, pick more or less, and you can win up to 1,000 times your money, which turns your game days into paydays. So download the app. It's one of the top apps out there. Use our promo code unfair. You're going to get $100 if you deposit $100. But if you decide not to deposit, they're going to give you $20 for signing up. New users only. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Once again, thank you all for pulling up. Hit the like button if you're new to the channel. Subscribe, rate, review, give us 5 stars. Coop, this is the week 11 or the first week of the college football playoffs, top 25s. Pull this bad boy up. And your beloved Oklahoma Sooners start off at number 12. Texas right above them at 11. Notre Dame at 10. Oregon 9. Texas Tech at 8. BYU 7. Ole Miss 6. The UGA Georgia Bulldogs at 5. Bama 4. Texas A&M 3. Indiana 2. And Ohio State number 1. Now, I think the significant thing here is, Coop, that if the college football playoff started today, both Texas and Oklahoma are eliminated. They are the first 2 teams out. For the uninitiated, you have to have a conference champion from the ACC. The highest ranked person right now is Virginia, so they would go in. And you got to have a G5. They're not ranked on here right now, which they got the big massive stub. They would take the 12th spot. So, initial spot for Oklahoma, what you think, Coop?
So I had to watch this one live last night, and obviously I know there's a lot of turmoil of why is Texas ranked behind Oklahoma in the AP and the coaches poll. Oklahoma's lost to a rival that is ranked this similar to them and has lost to one of the top teams in the country. Texas lost to a team who had to fire their coach. So, and then obviously a top team in the country. So an unranked and a team who is done. That's why. So you get your cookies back here, Texas fans, that now you're ranked ahead. This is where you want to be, Jay, because it just really doesn't matter. I remember 2 years ago, I think after we lost to Kansas, you were like, hey, this is where they're ranked. And I said, I don't care. Because if you don't go out and handle business, none of this matters. Like, if you go and you lose to Bama on the road, like, it's tougher. If you lose to Bama on the road, you lose anything else, then, I mean, we'll have a talking point, but it won't include the Sooners on this piece. But there's a lot of positive also, Jay, because there's a lot of teams up in front of us that are going to be playing conference championship games. So I'm Tarantinoing it and starting at the end. There's a lot of teams like BYU and Texas Tech plays this weekend. So one of those teams, if that's a blowout by any chance, that other team disappears. But if it's a close game, still they're going to drop back. You've got Notre Dame's got a few games on their schedule that they could still lose. We've got Bama to play. So there's still a lot of football to play in this scenario. But this is where you're supposed to be. You've got 2 losses. You are right in striking distance. It'd be a little bit more damning if you're at like the 18-19 range, but you're at 12. So long way to say you're right where you need to be.
Yep. Win and you're in. Period. Mm-hmm. Oklahoma goes 10-2, they're in. Period.
Yeah. 100%.
10-2, you may actually end up as a bye week. That's even a chance there. Now, granted, you may not even play in the SEC championship game, but you could end up being at the top 5 easily.
And Jay, we said this kind of. I don't remember if we said it on air, if it was just you and I talking, because I think that when we did our season picks, both of us had pretty much been at 10-2, and we went 11-1. Live. We both went with a little bit more of a get excited pick, but is it bad to go 10-2 and miss the SEC championship game, get an extra week off, get dudes healthy, get some practice, and then host a playoff game? Would that be such a bad thing?
No, not really.
But you got to get there.
Yeah, you gotta get there. I would have no problem with hosting. I would love to a playoff game be hosted in Norman. That would be fun. That'd be electric.
What if you got to host Notre Dame at OU?
We've had them here before. I don't care about them. You want to know what I would like to see, though? What would be fascinating, and I think it would really upset a lot of people if we hosted Texas.
That's I've seen some projections where that one, they get to come to OU.
Yes, buddy. The internet would break.
Or what would happen, because I don't know how it seeds out, but what happens if OU does end up 10-2, you don't play because of some funky tiebreaker in the SEC, Indiana loses to Ohio State in the Big Ten championship game? What if you get to host Indiana at the crib?
Oh, man. Another one where the internet would break. You host USC.
I just don't think they get there.
I don't see it either, but their schedule is favorable enough to where they should be able to. The question is can they do their part to get there? But if we had to host them, the internet would 100% break. It would be one of those where everything would collapse on top of each other, and the head coach just wouldn't make the trip. He'd say, it's just not possible.
It's like the multiverse. It'd be like bringing the multiverse into college football, because Lincoln Riley coming back here. I know that we've got somebody's Twitter handle is Runaway Riley, but he'd be like, I actually have tuberculosis and I can't go in that type of weather anymore.
I like the fact of saying tuberculosis. Wow, that is such a 1975 death.
I think it's a 1915.
Right 15, probably even. No, I'm sorry, not a 1775 death sentence right there or illness. That's a 1775. 1705. 1515 is when people was dying of tuberculosis like crazy. But yeah, that would be buddy. Yeah.
There's a lot of, that's why you want it. Here the thing is OU is a team and a program that needs to be in the college football playoff 3 out of every 5 years minimum.
At this point,
and you'd like to maybe see 75% of the time. Now, if it goes to 16, I'm not sure that you shouldn't be there every time.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that you shouldn't be. But there's some teams right there. So right now, that's the projection. OU's not even in right now. But
yeah. They're considered one of your first out, so yeah.
And it's a moot point because Alabama and A&M are on a crash course to probably play each other. There's a lot of teams that are up in front of us that are going to either play each other or play somebody similar. And so, I was looking at USC has Northwestern this week on a Friday. Oh, the disrespect. USC playing a Friday night game. Iowa.
Especially mid-season. That's that Pac-12 after dark stuff right there.
I know, right? And it starts at 8 p.m. Central. So you Friday at 8 p.m. So you got Northwestern, you got Iowa, then you go to Oregon, and then you get Nico and UCLA to wrap up the season. So they got 2 losses to Notre Dame and Illinois. I guess it's a potential deal. If we were to ascend and they were to sneak in, they're gonna, that ratings wise, it would be freaking low hanging fruit, Jay. But that's why you have this scenario. There's a lot of really, really cool matchups that could potentially happen.
Yeah, that's a lot of wish casting. But no, for those that don't understand, this is basically what your brackets would look like. If everything happened today, you have Oklahoma and Texas, your first and second team out. You'd have Virginia in there. And right now, Memphis, I think, is 23rd on the AP poll. They would be probably your highest ranked team in the end. Don't forget, these are the initial ones. So do they really matter? Not really. We're talking about them because we enjoy talking about it. At some point, you're going to see the ones that matter, which is literally the final week of the season. Honestly, I don't even think championship week really holds much water to what matters, because every conference does the top 2 teams based upon all the tiebreakers and records are the ones that play. No one does the divisional thing anymore. So you're guaranteed to get the 2 highest rated players from your conference playing in your conference championship. As Virginia keeps winning, they'll be up there. Louisville could potentially take it away because Miami decided to fumble their bag. So, but, it could get to that point. But this is where things could potentially sit. It'll be a very intriguing last few weeks, because no matter what, somebody's going to mess up all of this with their play. And I'm just hoping it ain't us. So,
yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's hit the inroads of this bad boy, because I think we got to, Coop. We got to start giving away some awards and give heap some praise on some folks, because so far these last 3 games, you start to see some dudes that wouldn't be those dudes. Let's dive into it. First, shout out to the partners again. Last one from our friends at Sleeper. We're going to make a few more picks. Again, if you have not used them for daily fantasy ball, you're 100% missing out. Using our promo code UNFAIR, they're going to give you $20. Plus, they're going to match your deposit at 100% up to $100. And, like I mentioned before, not only do you have NBA action, they even have college ball. So, of course, you've got your, college football options in here. You got some Wednesday night games. We got some Saturday games like Bear Bachmeier for BYU. Definitely want to check out versus Tech. I don't think he runs all over Tech. Tech has really got a good run defense. Fernando Mendoza and Julian Sayin are right now your Heisman Trophy guys. Sayin should destroy Purdue, even though Purdue feels like they're kryptonite. They're like the team that always gives Ohio State problems. Fernando Mendoza, though, I'm going to take him less against Penn State. As much as Indiana destroys everybody, I feel like they're going to start hitting the wall of just too much success and complacency. Can Diego Pavia put back up numbers again? He's got no choice. So we're going to take him on the more just for the fun of it. And Jade Mavia for USC should throw at least 2 touchdowns against Northwestern, but Northwestern's been balling. Pick 2 or more players, pick more or less on the statistics, and boom, got an opportunity to win up to 1,000 times your money. Making game days into paydays. Use the promo code UNFAIR. Get a match at 100% up to $100 plus $20 just for signing up. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Shout out to all of you. Thank y'all for pulling up. Hit the like button if you're new to the channel. Subscribe, rate, review. Give us 5 stars. Coop, we gotta, we should give some awards out. We should heap some praise on some players that have been doing some cool stuff. So you've got South Carolina, Ole Miss, and then Tennessee was your 3-game run after Texas that leads you to this bye week, and then we'll have our final 3 games of the season. Who do you feel like balled out that we should really give some praise to?
I'm going to start. I think I got 2 guys on the defense. And it's hard because I saw maybe the Nagurski, kind of like finalist or watch list or whatever the other day, and you had no OU guys. And Jay, I said at the beginning of the season, so I think that it's going to be so spread throughout the entire team. You're not going to have one dude who's just like balling out. You're going to have such a spread that like there's not going to be a ton of OU guys on these watch lists. Nope. That being said, you got it. So I'm going to pick 2. I'm going to pick 2 guys on the defensive. One, because you got to go with Heineke. Owen Heineke, like the guy he shouldn't be on the field. But not only is he just continues to make play after play after play, playing through the broken bone in his hand, playing, trying to play with the broken bone sticking out of his hand. Like, he just continues. Like, he crushes Aguilar, and he gives the opportunity for for our Mason Thomas to run down the sidelines. He plays great in coverage. He plays great, against the run. So, man, I don't think that you can talk about this team without talking about Heineke.
I agree with you there. If I'm giving one out that I have to, it really has to go to the dude, to me, that I feel like that does so much work and gets some recognition, but not as much as we probably think he should. Taylor Wein, Miguel Chavis Jr. Looked just like him on Halloween. It's pretty funny when they had the picture up of him. But no, PFL put this out there, this picture of him, as well as, and now I want to remind y'all, I'm going to pull this up just to remind myself, because I really think a lot of you don't understand how much praise we heaped on this kid coming in. He was, by all accounts, everybody had him a 3-star prospect. The On 3 composite had him a 3-star, but Rivals had him as a 4-star. And when he was a recruit coming out of high school, he was also considered, top 650 player in the country.
Yeah.
When Oklahoma saw him while out on the recruiting trip looking at someone else, I think a wide receiver, they're like, oh, no, that boy athletic. I
Who's that guy?
Who that dude? It's kind of like when DeMarco Murray was found by Bob Stoops. He saw him out there dunking in a basketball court, like, hey, wait, who's that guy? Like, oh, yeah, does he play basketball? No, he doesn't play basketball. Who that dude is? That's a running back. Oh, can I talk to him? Because that's one of those, like, oh, wow, that athleticism jumps out. But my point here is Taylor had 7 pressures in that Tennessee game. And not only was he giving you the pressures, he was making plays in a way that don't show up on the box score. Alex King over there from the Championship Standard, shout out to them here on YouTube. They always run some film. Well, Alex posts always on the socials about different plays that the players make. And one that he posted was of Taylor Wein making a play that doesn't show up on the box score.
Mm-hmm.
And what he did was, not only did Taylor blow up the play, he forced it to where there was a tackle for lost cause from somebody else just because of where he was located. It was probably one of the better plays I had seen in the game. And I was like, oh, I see what you mean about him making plays that don't show up on the box score. It was dope. Period.
And Jay, I think that's like one of the, because leading up to it, like, dude gets some love but doesn't get enough. Like, you could talk about so many players right now who just continue. Kip Lewis. Like, nobody talks about Kip Lewis except for he affects so many things. Reggie Powers. Nobody talks about Reggie, but he continues. And also, hey, just shout out to the Powers family too. Reggie Powers and his pops, they lost his grandfather this week too.
So the Powers family, yeah.
And I know that he was very, very influential in RP3's life. And so he played that Tennessee game under that, and his dad wasn't even available to be there. So Reggie had himself a pretty good game with a heavy heart. But David Stone, there's so many different people in this fan base. I mean, I just plead with you guys. We wanted a defense. We wanted a defense that could hold team to 30 or below at one point.
Here's the play. Watch Wein blow up to where Heineke get back there and get that tackle for loss. Specifically, he just blows it up to where the blocking could not get established as it needs to. And this is a play that doesn't show up in the box score.
There's no assist.
That warmed my heart seeing that.
Yeah. And we've talked about it, David Stone sacrificing himself for the play, like blowing up the line of scrimmage in order for your teammate to make a play. But my rant, Jay, I was going on is, fan base, please, like, you can't let every scenario be let's fire somebody. Like, we asked for last year, we were asking for. I mean, would you trade last year for this year at this point?
Absolutely not.
Everybody would say yes, right? Mm-hmm. My second guy I want to recognize on the defensive side, Jay, is a true freshman. A guy who continuously gets put in the spotlight, and sometimes people hail him as phenomenal. Like, he's got some of the best, grades as far as like completion percentage, pass breakups, and that's Courtland Guillory. He does get picked on at times, and he does make freshman errors at times, but this guy's still a freshman. He's still a first-year player learning things. He's going on the road and doing these things. Nicholas Harbor, he's been against Cam Coleman. This week he was against Chris Brazzell, a dude who is like well over 100 yards against a lot of big-time programs.
Oh, yeah.
Dude held him to 68 yards.
Look at this. Look at the defense here, right? Like, after this sack, it's the Courtland Guillory defensive play that right here, just all over Chris, telling him, no, sir, not on my watch.
And that's a play that Brazzell made against Georgia.
Oh, yeah.
Earlier in the year. God. I mean, he's made it against a lot of different people. So I just say this, guys, for the love of God, like, don't let your emotions happen. Ebb and flow with every single play in the game. Like, we were not giving up yards but not getting turnovers, and it was boring, dominant defense. Now we gave up some yards, and we were causing turnovers all over the place and affecting the game. And everybody wants to get mad at folks. Like, you're still playing a true sophomore and a true freshman at corner. And these games are big for them, because they're going on road in big environments. And so when he goes against Alabama in 2 weeks, he's not going to be shook. He's been here before.
And that was the unfortunate thing that this defense had to deal with when you really think about the recruiting aspect and getting players like Valai and them. Valai had to rely heavily on the portal when he first got here to really try to rebuild the room. And you had years where you had multiple transfer guys starting. Then you get Eli Bowen as a prospect last year, and he blows up, and you're like, good, we're great. Gentry hasn't been healthy, but when he is healthy, he's out there playing like nails. He's chasing dudes down. He's breaking up passes. He's playing good ball. Then this year you get Courtland. So you've got one vet in Gentry who's up and down because of that shoulder, but he's still playing. Then you get two young dudes that's out there that's dogging it. Plus you got two or three more in the chamber that's still also ready to play and contribute. Jacoby looked solid when he got out there, also using his height and his athleticism. The bigger challenge, though, was they were trying to find dudes that was ready to step up and play immediately. It's no different than the D-line the first year. You had a whole bunch of bigger guys, but they weren't big enough. Then you had to teach, like Isaiah Coe and them, they had to get over 300, and then they had to learn how to play at 300. And that takes time to understand your body to be able to do that. Now you got dudes well over 300 that play very well at 300. They play with the same speed and intensity they did when they were 275. You've built the conditioning there. So, yeah, as you point that out, the cornerback room hadn't got a chance to catch up with the development and the location of where the D-line has, because the D-line has not only veterans from here, but also transfers to supplement, whereas the corners are now the young pups who are growing and getting better. Because I'm trying to think about it. I don't think we have a single transfer in the cornerback room this year. I think we have 0 left. Because Dez is gone. Kanai's at Arkansas. You know, right? Like our first year, you had Colton, the corner, came from Wyoming, real good. We hoped that he would have came back, but I don't think he had an additional year. It was as in 2022.
My brain's toasted.
But he was a solid corner. My brain is. Colton is what I see in my mind, but I know that's not his name.
Colden.
There you go.
CJ Colden.
CJ Colden. Thank you. Like I was trying to get it. I was like, where is it at? I couldn't find it. I was trying to go look it up real quick.
You said Colton, and all I could think is Colton Bester, who was a wide receiver, and I was like, that's not right.
That's not the name. Right.
No,
but
C.J. Colton.
Like, C.J. Colton. So you brought in a bunch of transfers to help with that, and and the key thing is not the guys that we had weren't that good. It's fitting the scheme that BV likes to play. That was always 100%. The critical part. Then linebacker, trying to think, the only linebacker transfer we have, or quote unquote really had, is really Kendall Daniels. If I'm really thinking about it, who had linebacker did we even bring in?
No, because the first year you had Deshaun White.
He was here. He was an Oklahoma player,
and he was an Oklahoma guy. Danny Stutzman played a lot his freshman year. I can click back here and see.
Yeah, I'm looking at it, and I'm being honest, man. Who did we have? You didn't really have very many linebacker transfers. It's kind of my big.
No, you haven't, and and I'm just saying this is shout out to. My heart still hurts for this one. The Crimson Missile.
I know, right? Lewis Carter. God, he would be nasty in this defense.
My
goodness, he'd be unreal in this defense. Hate that. I understand being homesick, so I can't be mad. But dude,
yeah. But I just say, like, you look at the entire team, and I mean, you've gotten a couple guys on the defensive line because you just didn't have anybody on the roster who was doing it. And you said, shout out to our boy Isaiah Coe, friend of the program. Like Isaiah, like you're starting to see. You had Caden Woolard also, which was
you brought in some solid edges to kind of grow with, some seniors, some bigger bodies, dudes that could play
while you had some of your cakes in the oven, getting ready. And so now you're seeing that, because now you're seeing, going into next year, you're not going to have any of these transfers. You're going to have probably Stone and Jackson starting up the middle. You're going to have Danny and PJ and Wein out on the outside. You're going to start
You'll have some White Gilmore action to probably pay. CJ Nixon may be ready, and Banks as well. Right. Yeah.
You're going to have all homegrown, because that's how Brent Venables has done this. It hasn't been, and I will pause again, because you look at an Ole Miss, or you look at some of these teams that live and die out of the transfer portal, and right now you can't look to next year and go, man, I'm really, really excited about next year because all these guys are coming back. Like, most of those guys are going to be transferred out. And when you can do that, and you only need maybe 3 or 4 spots in the whole entire team for like absolute impact players, you're going to spend a lot of money on retention, because I can promise you, folks are going to have conversations with David Stone. Folks are going to have, they're going to still be reaching out and saying, hey, what would it take?
What would it take? Because to even add to that, right, this has been our talking point. This staff loves their recruits, and we're starting to see that more and more. And that's kind of the thing you appreciate the most, is that they really do love their recruits. And so they're showing it. And I'm happy about that. And we're trying to avoid living in doubt, because that's the thing about it. Ole Miss did it, and then they fizzled out at the end last year. One of the best teams they've ever had. This year they don't consider this as one of the best teams they've ever had, but they're probably going to finish out a little bit better this year, unless the Florida game or the Mississippi State game happens.
Yeah,
that's kind of the question there. So,
and I mean, I will also say, Jay, you still have massive weaknesses in like the lines at Florida, or not Florida, but at Georgia and Alabama. They've had a lot of attrition, a lot of transfer portals, people coming in and out, like people no longer wanting to stick to that long-term dream, that long-term plan. And a lot of these kids, they don't have a PJ Adebawara who can come in as a 5-star and develop. Again, he was just a freaking raw athlete who was just out-athleting everybody on the field up in Kansas.
And you don't have very many that are 3-stars that are willing to stick around and grow and develop and grow into their bodies and then be prepared for play. You don't get that either. It's exactly it. That's where things get a little squirrely.
But we went way off the rails. My fault. But I was just saying,
great talk,
guys. We defensive MVPs. Like I'm giving a shout out to Courtland. I'm giving a shout out to Owen, because these are guys who continue to just do something crazy. Like Courtland, taking on the task week in, week out. Like, again, this is potentially your third or fourth defensive back, right? Like third defensive back, because you were relying on Gentry and Eli. Gentry's had to go down, so this is your backup cornerback, a true freshman coming in, balling out, like leading the nation. In top 5 in the nation, and a lot of like really, really key statistics. But everybody remembers a pass interference. Listen, Jay, if you throw a 60-yard bomb down the field, and it's either, hey, obviously I want you to knock down the pass and not allow anything, but if it's allow the completion or get pass interference, in college football, I'm saying take the pass interference.
Yeah, every time. Take the PI, because it's only 15 yards, so it doesn't kill you, but it can make you stronger. So you definitely want to do that, and you got to make sure you tackle very well. So, all right, we're going to go ahead and get ourselves out of here. Thank you all for pulling up. Hit the like button if you're new to the channel. Subscribe, rate, review, give us 5 stars. Make sure you keep Coop and his people in prayers. Keep Coach Powers, RP3, and his family in your prayers as well. Appreciate you taking time to join us. We'll be back. We'll talk on Sunday because it's bye week, so we're going to recap what happened in the SEC and what the heck that means for us going forward. So, because Alabama's got the LSU game, so we will all be probably hate watching that game. Because if LSU can pull off a miracle upset, they could dishevel things when we play against them, and it's going to definitely shake up the college football playoff rankings. Game. So yeah, we just want things to be a little disheveled, a little shaken up or whatnot. So all right, we'll see you all in a day or two. Peace.